We go, going live, Monday Night Live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Weather Center 8 p.m. Tropics Talk. We have a lot to dig into tonight because things just are not making sense out there right now. One thing's for certain, though, this is brand spanking new. Starting the Tropics Talk already with something hot off the presses. 70% chance of development over the next 7 days, 30% chance in the next 48 hours. So we're definitely seeing incremental increases from National Hurricane Center that this thing's going to form up. And if you guys look closely, I mean, they are trying to drift that track a little bit to the north. I think in comparison to last time they had it pointed straight at Central America. Now there is that somewhat of a jog to the north at the uppermost portion of that formation chance. So National Hurricane Center sees that split in the difference. We're going to talk heavily about what the heck is going on with our models tonight because it's making all of us look stupid for all intents and purposes. I'm going to be blunt. It's making a lot of us look ridiculous. Forecasting for a hurricane or at the very minimum a tropical storm, mentioning who could potentially be impacted. Now we have all of our models doing this. Like, what in the heck is going on right now? I don't see that happening. And we're going to look clearly at exactly why our models are split. Our ensembles are saying something, and then our deterministic models are saying something else. Let's say hello to the chat real quick. Let's see, who do we have in here joining us this evening? Miss Leah, good evening. Happy Halloween Eve. We are on the precipice of one of the greatest nights of the United States, I guess, calendar year. In my opinion, guys, that's just my opinion. Not literally for those of you out there who maybe don't celebrate Halloween or have the same sort of fanfare for Halloween. Brian Morris, good evening. Zenful, good evening. You made it in. Who else we got? Linda, hello there. Kevin, howdy from Tallahassee. Good to see you. Ethan's Life, hey yo, thank you for joining us. Let's see who else. Alex Baller, welcome in. Weather Trackers, good to see you again. Matthew F150, good evening. Punky the Mixed Dog, I hope everything's all well with you. Mike Murad, what's up, bro? How you doing? Helena, good evening. Let's see. Alicia, good night. Brenda, hello there. Chad, hello. Our system in the Caribbean is becoming better organized. It is a trough of low pressure, but thunderstorm activity has increased. It's an NSC. Yep, I agree. That's exactly how I started my video off today earlier, too. I'd mentioned that if you go onto the satellite imagery, this thing is like really trying to get going. Lots of thunderstorm activity with it. And the more thunderstorms you get with it, look at all that. The more, of course, there goes tropical tidbits being tropical tidbits. Let's change the satellite imagery. Let's go over to College of DuPage. You can always trust their satellite imagery. We'll use the infrared this time. We're not going to use water vapor. We'll use our clean infrared IR. There you have it. Look at all that. I mean, it's a very elongated mess right now, but there's a lot of thunderstorm activity with it. Very low shear. It's right underneath that anticyclone, so it's definitely trying to form up. And that's why I'm so confused as to why our models are suddenly going backwards with this. And I don't mean not only literally, because a lot of the models are suddenly trying to have this thing go backwards on us, but at the same time, they're dropping chances that this is going to actually form up into anything. Especially the Euro today at 12 Zulu, the European model completely backpedaled on it. There's no ensemble members that say anybody up here is a threat anymore. It's going to just pile drive right into Nicaragua and disappear as like a tropical depression maybe. Very bizarre. I don't understand what's going on, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I pointed this out in my video earlier, guys. If you look, actually this time we will switch over to water vapor. We'll switch over to water vapor satellite imagery. I'm so thankful that we have this as an example, because take a look at this upper level low right here. Look at that thing right there spinning up. In fact, this maybe try to increase our rain chances out here in Florida. I think Kevin commented on my video not even a few minutes ago mentioning that we want to get some rain out over western Florida, and look at that bad boy coming up. Now, the reason I highlight this is because this is exactly what I'm thinking this system would do. I don't understand why our models are trying to do this or trying to do this. That doesn't make any sense. Like, we have a textbook example right here. This thing came wandering across the Greater Antilles, and if you look, we have our big old trough right here, and then we have our big old ridge right here, like clockwork. So what is that system doing? It's making its way through the tunnel, just like that. So I don't understand what our models are doing and all of a sudden thinking that it's going to get sandwiched over the Caribbean and die. We've never Never. As far as I've been tracking the tropics, we've never seen a system bounce off of a force field like that, like it's Independence Day, and disappear. That's just never been... That's exactly what should have happened with Ian last year, if that's the case. Same mechanism. We had a front spilling down. I know it was late September, but still, we had a front spilling down just like this one back in through here. And from what the models are saying, that means technically we should have seen Ian, we should have saw Wilma, we should have saw Nicole last year, we should have saw a bunch of hurricanes just go boop and then disappear. So that's why, I'm having a very hard time rationalizing with a lot of our models right now. Even the Canadian model, who has done very well this year, the latest iteration of the Canadian model does have it doing almost the same thing as GFS. It makes it up to where Idalia was and then just backpedals like this, back towards Jamaica and the Cayman Islands as nothing. And I saw what you mentioned, Weather Tracker's 18Z is out. I'm not even looking at 18Z. I have it pulled up, but once again, guys, you watch. There goes our formation. It decides to take a southward jog for some reason, completely decimate itself over Central America, and then watch this. Here we go. And then just float, retrograde, hang out over the Cayman Islands, hang out there, not doing anything, make landfall again in Central America, and then that's it. Then we have a new system forming up. This is why I don't trust this. I don't trust 12 Zulu. I forget exactly what 0Z looked like. I always look at 0Z when I'm barely awake in the morning. Yeah, so see, 0Z had the exact same thing going on. It bounces off the walls. It looks like it's playing pinball with the islands down there, and then it comes back down to the south, and then we have this chain of low-pressure systems develop. It's like it teleports. There it goes shifting over there outside of the Caribbean Sea, then it shifts up there off the coastline and then takes off. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I definitely do not think that's what's going to happen, and in fact, you come over to our ensembles right here. This is 18Z ensembles. Check this out. This makes a lot more sense. Look at that. Like clockwork. Makes a heck of a lot more sense. As soon as you switch to the ensembles, everything becomes crystal clear again. Even with the 12Z ensembles, look at this. Forms up, moves through, comes to the north, becomes a South Florida issue, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Bahamas, and there you have it. Right there. I don't know what's going on with our deterministic models. You come over to the Canadian model, and you see that? It comes across, it barely develops. Like the Canadian model, for how aggressive as it was with all the other systems we've had this year, does not want this thing to take off at all. And then when it does, it's almost over land when it does. And then it, once again, look at that. It starts out up here where Idalia was, and then at the end of the loop, it's spinning right here. Why are all these models thinking that this thing's going to retrograde? I've never seen that before. So, I agree with you, Weather Trackers. Something's definitely up. Something's funky with our analysis data. I don't know if it's because we're going into a blocking pattern over Western Conus again with that gigantic ridge, but I got to go early because of family problems. Shucks. Punky the Mixed Dog. I hope everything's okay. Always cheering for you behind the scenes. Trust me, I always think about all you guys. So, Thomas, excellent question. This is why I always mention that in a situation like this, when we don't have anything developed, it's best to kind of lean on your ensembles a little bit more. The ensembles, believe it or not, are dozens upon dozens of different minuscule computer programs from the model itself, the main model, that end up going out and doing their own thing. I believe the GFS, don't quote me on this, I think the GFS has between 30, somewhere in the realm of 30 individual model members, and then the Euro has 51 ensemble members. And the reason I like ensembles for medium to long range forecasting is because we as analysts, not literally us like me, but folks actually working closely in the computer labs with their models, they can go in and make adjustments as it goes. So you get a lot better reliability and agreement as you go down the road. Which is why, that's why I'm still leaning on what we're seeing with our ensembles here. Like, you take a look at the 18Z ensembles, and none of them, not a single ensemble, that's great consistency in our ensembles. A little bit of a spread, and I agree with the spread, a little bit of a spread, like so, but at the end of the day, that's great consistency with our ensemble members, not only in intensity, but also in track, and you don't really spread it out too much. We've seen hurricanes out there in the Cabo Verde, or near the Cabo Verde Islands, with a span like this. I remember when I first started talking about Lee and Nigel, some of the ensembles had it tracking up like this, and then others had it tracking all the way towards the southeast. That's how big of a spread we had. With this, you look at our ensembles, and we're looking fairly consistent in terms of what all of our members are thinking is going to happen. So I don't understand why you look at this and you have a general consensus of this, but then you switch over to our deterministic and you have this. That doesn't make any sense at all. At all. Tampa is not necessarily out of the threat. Belize should not expect it, but we should be monitoring. Again, guys, we're at the point to where we have something forming. That's why National Hurricane Center has us now, as I like to call it, under red alert. We have something imminently forming, and the guarantee of seeing something form is going higher and higher. So that's why we need to keep monitoring, but I'm liking the fact that National Hurricane Center does have a little bit of a west-northwest bias in this. They're not just having it pummel right through Costa Rica and Nicaragua like that. I'm glad that they have that little bit of a dip to the north, or I should say a ridge to the north. That makes a lot of sense. What else did I want to show you guys? There was something I just had in mind. Oh yeah, let's go over to the GFS members. I've been looking at the GFS members a lot, and they also paint a very big picture. So here we go. These are our 18Z members. And watch what they all do with this system. Like, look at them all. Every single one, actually, as a matter of fact, every single one of our ensembles for the GFS have something coming towards Florida, if not going towards the Cayman Islands and Cuba. Not a single one of these ensemble members, except maybe like these ones down here in 28, 29. So I was right, they do have 30 members. But, I mean, even the control member, albeit very weak, right up in through here, has a tropical depression, tropical storm coming across Florida. So, I don't know what our operational models are doing. I don't understand. When are they going to designate it an invest? We need hurricane models running on that thing. Ethan, we won't have a full-fledged invest until it mixes down to the surface. And it's funny you mention that because I actually have Windy right here pulled up. And if you look, this is 925, and it looks pretty the same or pretty much the same at the surface. But right now we're just looking at an aggressive tropical wave. You can see it starting to form up right there. So we're in the preliminary phase of development. We have our tropical wave, and it's going to continue to propagate off to the west. Now, I'm wondering, why is it expected to go from here down to here? I'm really questioning that. Because even that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I would imagine that it's just going to continue to track off to the west. I've never seen a system out there in the Caribbean be pushed down to the south. So, I don't know. My dad believes the GFS. Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, GFS was on a roll for a little while, and then it flew the coop. I don't understand. So, am I safe in Citrus County? I'm not too sure just yet. We have to really, really watch what's going on right now. Everybody who's bringing up specific locations, we should all be in monitor mode. There's no yay or nay. I'll put it to you this way. Everybody that I circle right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are all the areas that need to pay close attention to this. If you're not circled, you are in the clear. If you are circled, then in my both personal and professional opinion, you at least need to keep one eye open to this situation. Even though our deterministic models are being dorks, it goes without saying, our ensembles are still saying something totally different. Except for the Euro ensembles. I don't know what happened with the European model today, but the Euro completely lost all confidence in it once again, which was weird. You come over here and take a look at our 12Z European ensembles, and look at that. There's nothing expected to come out of it. Maybe a tropical storm before it makes landfall in Nicaragua and then just disappears. I don't really know what's going on with our models. I really don't. It's very strange. Like in this case, I genuinely have been racking my mind about this, and this is the first time I put out a video. I know I haven't been on YouTube very long, but this is the first time I put out a video, and it's like, I'm at a loss, guys. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because we have a very good environment down there. We have elevated temperatures. I'm not talking normal warm waters. We have hot waters. That's the bubbling waters that we've had all season long that everyone's been afraid of. So that's a big kicker. Couple that with there's no El Nino shear down there. There's very little shear. It definitely more than enough room for this thing to get going. And we obviously have ample moisture. You go over to the satellite and you could clearly see that. You don't need a model to tell you that. There's plenty of moisture down there. Let's see what the KMA model's doing. It's been very latent the last few days. The Korean model hasn't been populating very fast. Let's see if we actually have 12Z in now. Oh, so it skipped 12Z. I don't know what this thing is doing, but we skipped 12Z. 18Z is coming in right now. And 18Z has it starting to form up as well. So by the 2nd of November, we could have, or maybe even just before that, we can have an invest area out there. 0Z, I know 0Z KMA came in last night, and the KMA actually still has it forming up, coming to the north and hitting Florida. You see that? Even the KMA is making a lot more sense than some of our other models. It has it forming up, crashing into the Yucatan, and then coming across and actually making a landfall somewhere in western Florida. You track it through time, there it is, deepens down, stays fairly weak, comes at us as maybe a tropical storm, and then comes across southwestern, maybe central western Florida, just like that. And then gets picked up by our frontal system. So I'm in a toss-up. I'm really in a toss-up right now. There's so many different iterations on our deterministic models. You have the icon that wants to do this. I'll go ahead and just color code the different models. The icon has something like this going on. Then you have the GFS. We all know what the GFS is doing. Whoops, I'm not going to use that color. Then we have the GFS doing this for some strange reason. Then we have the Canadian model. We saw the Canadian model did pretty much the same thing like this and then shot it back down. Then we have the European model that does this with it and just kind of shoots it off into the East Pacific. Then we have the KMA model. What kind of color can I use for the KMA? Let's go orange. Then we have the KMA model that does this, like so. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the UK model, don't quote me on that, let me use red. The UK model does something like this and just brings it straight west, and that's when we lose the loop. So, I mean, we have really good consistency for about like 48 hours of this storm, and then look at how much discontinuity is in our operational models. So, I agree. I wouldn't be shocked if this time tomorrow it's an invest. You never know. Bad news of models don't make any sense. That's very bad news. Exactly. Trinidad here looking on, praying for the people in Jamaica after that earthquake. Yeah, luckily it wasn't anything too catastrophic. I think it was like a 5.4 or 5.6 with a weaker aftershock shortly after that. The area's definitely been shaken up, hoping for the best, hoping that there's no overnight aftershocks that'll shake everybody up a little bit more, scare the living daylights out of them. So, I'm truly at a loss, guys. I really am. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I've looked at every single slice of the atmosphere. And I mean, we go back to the GFS just for shoots and giggles, and we'll expand the AOY, and we'll go 500 millibars. We'll go 500 millibar height anomaly. And if you watch, like, there's our system, and look, right there. Clearly right there. I don't get it. Why are our models hanging it up right here? Look at that clear right there. It's like textbook. We've had so many storms do it. There's a ridge here. There's a trough digging in right there. There's a weak ridge right here. It should be shooting off to the north-northeast, like all of our ensembles are calling for. But you 10-1, if I switch over to the European model, it says the same thing. Yeah, exactly. The same thing at the same time. We got our trough digging in right here. We got a little wheat ridge right there, another ridge. There's our escape route right there. I mean, I'm not, again, like I said in my video earlier, I'm not trying to conjure up and, manifest a hurricane for Florida. That's not what I'm doing. It's just I'm trying to make sense of why we're going backwards. It's throwing me for a loop, literally. The westward bump deep makes no sense. Yeah, I don't understand that either, because you track, even with the Euro model, look at this. I mean, in its initial phase, you get a very broad ridge, but look at where the ridge is positioned. It wouldn't make any sense for it to track down south. These tropical entities don't do that. Like, look at where our ridge is, and I bet you 10-1 if I turn on our winds and I go to 500 millibar Vorton winds, look at that. Prevailing westerly or easterly winds. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Look at that. Prevailing, the dew out of the east. Now here it makes sense. If you guys look, there's a little bit of a ridge building in right here, and then there's a ridge right here. And then you have this area of vorticity that wants to run down underneath it. That makes a lot of sense. But I don't get, this is on the 5th of November, I don't get how before that it's not going to get pulled up. There's our wind flow right there. You see the westerlies or the easterlies, and then right there. Very stark contrast in our wind flow. Let me switch over to the GFS and take a look at it real quick. Yeah, even more so. Okay, so I kind of see, hold on, I'm seeing something here at 500 millibars. That's very interesting. Okay, all right, I think we just cracked the code again. I haven't had a chance to really obsess over this, but I'm seeing something very, very weird here, and now it's kind of making sense why our models are being very, very loopy with this. And you guys are probably going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but if you watch, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in so you guys can see what I'm paying attention to. So there's our system right here. There's all the vorticity with it. There goes my pen. There's all of our vorticity with it, but watch as you track it through time. This is very weird. There it goes. There it goes. Watch this trough. Look at this weird, that's our front. Or I guess like an embedded shortwave trough coming through the pattern. Watch what happens as those two interact, at least according to the GFS. Look at all the vorticity. It's like that trough or whatever the heck that is literally pulls all of the moisture and the energy out of that system and takes it. See that? Now what's left of our storm is all elongated right through here. Which is very, very interesting because if that's the case, then whatever this next thing is right there, that's almost, you could almost make a case of that being something totally different. Because you see it dies out, there it goes. All that vorticity gets pulled in by that next upcoming trough. And then, yeah, that's really weird. It's almost very hard to communicate without you guys watching it live, but there goes our first circulation, our first disturbance. And then what's left over at the back end of this frontal system is spins something else up. That's a second feature right there. That is so weird. I've never seen that before. At least that's my interpretation of it. I'm trying to go through the loop so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There, right there is where all of our vorticity gets pulled from our first low. You see it? I'm going to leave it right here. There's our front. And then look at how all the vorticity is spilling up like this off of that system. And then just like with our Gulf of Mexico system that we were tracking a while ago that brought us a bunch of severe weather, the remnants of it that come off of Central America spin something else up right here. Damn it, pen, come on. Right there. There's the rest. There's our old system getting stretched out and washed out with the jet coming across. And then there's something else that tries to spin up after it. That's a totally new system right there. Gosh, that's so weird. Yeah, exactly, Jacob. I agree. That's a very, very insane solution here. I'd rather take the easy one and just say, get ready for a landfall. It's going to get pulled in. Like, that's weird. Sometimes it takes looking at the upper levels and you can get a better idea of what's happening. But then again, that's according to the GFS. So, you know, there was my water bottle acting up again. Have you ever thought about doing a meet and greet? I'd love to shake your hand for the amazing job you do. I'm over in America in January to see Mom and Dad in Palm Bay. Me and Dad playing golf. Join us. Hey, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to that, Thomas. It actually sounds kind of cool. I think it'll either hit us or skim us. Yeah, we're going to have to watch. What'll be crucial is how much it develops out there in the Caribbean. If it really does develop and start to form up quick, in the same fashion as National Hurricane Center is building the formation probabilities as quick as they are, then we'll have a problem, because then that thing is definitely going to want to go north. The same principles apply. If we get a system deepening down and it is a hurricane by the time it reaches to the south of Jamaica, that thing's going to want to lift north, and it's going to find any way to do that. It's not going to move west. And I think that's why the European model just keeps on crashing it into Central America, because it has no faith or confidence that it's going to develop or into anything. 1-2 punch of the cold front. They can Nazario go bald for 10K subs. That'd be wild. You guys don't want to see me bald. 2 or 3 years ago, a Category 4 storm moved west from the Eastern Caribbean and plunged west-southwestward into Honduras. Which one was that? Do you happen to have a name, a circulation handoff, like in a supercell, but on a mega scale? Exactly. Yeah, Kevin, that's a great way to say it. Remember Hurricane Keith in 2000? Same route. Let's go ahead and look. I honestly don't remember Hurricane Keith because I was only 5 years old when that happened. Hurricane Keith 2000. Let's see. But any kind of continuity will help us tremendously. Track. Oh, well, see, that, I wouldn't, this is an October storm, too. This won't really help us too much, because, I mean, the same general area lifted to the north and then crashed right into Belize, went over the Yucatan, but that, I don't think the same dynamics are going to be in play here. I don't think the same dynamics are going to be working with us. If it's stronger sooner, it might follow the track of the 1932 Cuban hurricane. Yeah, I can definitely buy into that. That's weird. Here comes Vince and Whitney back to back. You know, it almost looks like it wants to do that. I don't believe that's what's going to happen. Just very weird trying to decipher what it is that's going on. Cuba hurricane. Not hurricane. This isn't a Lamborghini. Hurricane 1932. Yeah, there we go. Now that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. This one also makes a lot of sense. I don't think it'll be that market of a shift to the north all of a sudden. See, nowhere in this mess of lines do I see anything doing this. There's nothing that goes backwards. Everything either passes through, or hooks. There's none of them. No, I don't know what it is that this is showing. If this is just sporadic climatology for a certain amount of years or a time period, there's no timestamp on it, but you can clearly see that whatever happens, the end result is always west and north, or up and around. Like, there's no solution historically that has it going whoop and then coming right backwards. It just doesn't. It doesn't. I refuse to believe that's what's going to happen in this case. There's Ian right there, like clockwork. Look at how far to the south he is right there. Look at how far to the south Ian was, right off the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras right there. And look at how fast he shot up to the north. And I know this isn't exactly how it panned out. It went more like this, but still it goes to show, like, that's what these systems want to do. They're not going to go down there and then turn around. That just, what? So in my opinion, we're either going to see something very weak just disappear and move over Central America, or we're going to see something amp up, and it's definitely going to come towards us. It's definitely going to, and I don't mean like literally us in Florida, but I mean it's going to come up. What the heck happened to my water bottle here? I hate it when it does this. There we go. Hurricane Floyd is what inspired me to fall in love with weather, tracking after. Now, I do remember Hurricane Floyd. Floyd was one that had all of us in Florida on edge because of how close she came. It was a very, very reminiscent to Dorian track, right through the Bahamas, and it barely missed us at the last second. I remember they had tropical storm watches and hurricane watches out for the coast of Florida. Yeah, see, like, look, even if you go back and go to Ada didn't even go backwards. It just took a really, really sharp eastward shift and then came up the first chance that it got. So I can't. I'm sorry. I can't wrap my mind around this thing going backwards. What the heck is that? October-born major hurricanes. Which one That's the 1906. Is that the 1906? No, that's this one. Which one is that? I see one that does a loop-de-loop in here, but I can't decipher which one it is. Is this a loop? Can I see the loop? If this is a loop, that's going to help us tremendously. And I apologize, we're watching a video here together right now. Yep, we're watching a video together. Let's let this play out, and here we go. Please don't let...
October's a new month of hurricane season.
No, shut up. We don't want to hear that. We've heard this before. We know what's happening. I just want to see what that one storm that does the loop-de-loop does, or which one that was, so we can look at the track specifically. Milagros, Wilma is the one that I'm definitely using as a frame of reference. They said Floyd would wipe Jacksonville off the map. I believe it. There will not likely be any big storm waiting for rain. Ethan's Life will check those out, except Ivan did a loop-de-loop. Well, yeah, but a big one, and it made sense. It came up that weakness, and then as that trough kicked it back down to the south, it got wrapped back up in our anticyclone out in the Atlantic, and that's how it shot back around. Here we go. Let's see. If this dude would get out of the way. There's Wilma right there for you. See, like... Every single one. Oh, there we go. Dude, get out of the way. You're standing center frame. I want to see the tracks. Which one was that? He's standing right in the way as it comes up. I can't see it. That one track goes way too fast. There it is. It's this one right here. I don't know which one that is, but it comes back around and then starts headed south. I want to see which one that is. There's a 1909 hurricane, maybe? Is that the one that's there? 1909 hurricane. Nope, this isn't the one. Well, there's another one that came out of the south. Look at that. This is a hypothetical hurricane? How are you going to troll us like that? Come on. Hurricane King? Is that what it is? $1950? Well, that's a weird track. That's a decent example of how weird those northward turns could go. Some very interesting stuff right there. But again, generally speaking, even when they do these weird things, look at how they want to just lift to the north. None of them retrograde as far back down to the south like our systems are trying to do on our models right now. There you have it. Here's a really good representation of what climatology shows. I mean, look at that. And that matches up really well with what our GFS ensembles are calling for and what the Euro was calling for before it backed off completely. Look at that. That's from 1851 to 2022 for October South Florida hurricanes. And look at that general source region right there in the central and southern Caribbean. So, I mean, historically, that's what they do. With the dynamics that are in play, it makes a lot of sense. It's the 1906 hurricane. 1906 hurricane. Which ones are these? 110th anniversary of the Florida Keys hurricane. Oh, no, here it is right here. Okay, this is it. Of the Florida Keys hurricane in the morning of October 8th. Oh, you're right. Yeah, 1906. Okay. So it came up out of the Caribbean. Dang, I would really want to know what happened here. I would really want to know what happened there. But once again, though, it continues to reinforce the idea that, look, it's actually this actually looks very reminiscent of what's forecast to happen, minus that part where it comes back down to the south. But This looks very eerily reminiscent of what the GFS and the Euro were calling for a while now. From October 8th through the 23rd. Very interesting. Does it have anything about the dynamics in play? It moved northeast along the Keys and sank several streams as it passed near Miami, but the storm wasn't done with Florida. October forward progress slowed and the hurricane looped westward towards South Carolina and Georgia. October, the storm moving southwestward hit Jacksonville. Just on a hairpin course, the storm was responsible. It doesn't tell us exactly why it was steered the way that it was. All right, anyways, we're going to stop obsessing over that. Just wanted to look at something historically that'll help us get an idea of what's going on. But, you know, you saw the consensus. The general consensus is that these things want to come out of there. They're not going to... I don't see this happening. I really don't. I refuse to buy into that. And plus, we would need a hyperspeed front coming across the United States to do that. What the model is thinking is that this system right here, this baroclinic system that's deepening down, the trough and the shortwave that's supporting that development is what's going to pull the energy from this system and then knock it back down into the Caribbean. That's what it's looking like right now. Because you can see it as that system deepens and you have that frontal axis to the north, a lot of the moisture gets tapped out of it and pulled up like this. Because the front's definitely not that far to the south yet. The front is back up in through here still. You can see in the pressure troughing, you see in the precip indications. That's not the front yet. So very interesting that the models are thinking that trough is going to be strong enough to rip this system apart. And then once the front sinks far enough to the south, it's going to wander down into the Caribbean. Because now at that point, there's our front. Boom. Now the front's down there. You can see it right in through here. Then there's a massive high pressure over the southeast. I trust you in the ensembles with the dynamics in play. Could it strengthen as fast as Michael? That, I don't believe so. I don't think it could go as hard as Michael did. Down in the Caribbean, if things remain okay, we could see some substantial strengthening from it. But in terms of where Michael exploded and blew up in the Gulf of Mexico, there's going to be a little too much shear. Where it wants to execute most of its development is going to be down inside the Caribbean over the strongest ocean heat content. Because we have waters cooling pretty gradually, or I should say in sequence, off the Florida Panhandle and the extreme upper northwest coast of the peninsula of Florida. So your waters are cold up there. It would need to strengthen between there and there if it came up. By the time it gets to, we'll say hypothetically, if it's somehow tracked off to the west like that, like Idalia did, by the time it crosses the same latitude line as Tampa, you're either going to maintain intensity or it's going to start weakening because of the modified waters up there. We're starting to cool down a little bit. What do you think? Where do you think it will make landfall? You know, if I had to make a very, very early prelim prediction, I would almost make two predictions right now. I would definitely think two predictions. Invest 97L designated. There's no way. What would be designated as 97L? There's nothing out there right now. What are you talking about? Alex Baller, where are you seeing the 97L? I don't see anything. And usually it would populate on tropical tidbits first. We still have 96L. I don't even understand why this is still designated. Poor thing. Didn't have a fighting chance. Hurricane Lenny. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at Hurricane Lenny. And then we're going to stop obsessing over historical tracks because then we're going to eat up the rest of the stream. 1999. What the heck? Well, Jacob, I know that you and I were roasting the GFS at one point, but it looks like we have at least one storm in history that did what the GFS had predicted the one time we were laughing at it and actually went backwards into the Lesser Antilles. Wow, very crazy. I would love to know what the dynamics were playing around with that. This was like a deep November storm, though. Very deep November. But you know what? Take a look at this. When we say never, look at that. In November, 933 millibar in November. So for folks out there discounting it because of the time of year and because it's just not likely, I mean, it might not be the most realistic and the most opportune end result, but you look at the dates. No, that's like right before Thanksgiving, and we had a Cat 4, borderline Cat 5 out there that wiped a lot of people out. $686 million in damage. Moved unusually west to east. I would love to know. Maybe this is AccuWeather's website. Maybe they'll actually give us a little bit of information on why it did that. Currently, no tropical threats. Blah, 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 blah. Let me spend most of this time. Here we go. All right, here we go. Tropical systems are typically guided westward from the Atlantic. High pressure angle that may curve to the northeast if they encounter a dip in the jet stream or over emerging from North America. In Lenny's case, a large dip in the jet stream was in place over the western Atlantic. When Lenny formed, that put the storm on its eastward track on a collision course with the northern Leeward Islands. So from the way they're describing it, if we come back to our map, there was a really deep trough here over the western Atlantic, and that's what scooped it up or formed it up down here and moved it this way. Now that makes sense. That's not what's happening here, though. Our deep trough is back over here, and our ridge is out here. So, I mean, I bet you 10 to 1 if we look at what the GFS is calling for and we zoom out our AOR and go North America, 250 millibars. Yeah, look at that. We don't get any. There's no deep trough. See, even this doesn't make any sense. You have your subtropical jet there, but the subtropical jet doesn't move past further to the south than over the Florida Peninsula. It's like the GFS and some of our other models want it to stay entrenched in our big ol' anticyclone here, which is another piece of the reason why I'm nervous about this system, and I don't understand why our models are behaving the way that it's doing, because look at that big old anticyclone that stays out there. It's going to keep that wind shear away from that system. It's going to keep the wind shear completely almost non-existent down there. You come back over and you take a look at the upper level wind shear, and yeah, there's almost no wind shear down there whatsoever. You have that anticyclone keeping everything at bay. It looks like there's wind shear because the GFS is trying to provide outflow from that storm. But especially early on, you just don't have a whole lot of wind shear down there whatsoever. So I don't get it. And Alex, I'm still having a hard time trying to, they called 9 before Alex for November 11th, according to him, maybe or maybe not. Who knows? This storm's unpredictable. Who's they? Who, Alex? They always be underestimating. I was going to say, there's no way that there's a 97. We don't even have a closed circulation out there right now, buddy. I mean, it'd be nice to get an invest area, not going to lie. I wish we had an invest area, but you look at the satellite, there's nothing to investigate right now. It's a very disorganized, disheveled-looking area of thunderstorms. Actually, you know what? Wait a minute. I mean, it's probably something induced by the thunderstorm activity, but right there is a small little spin, a very small little spin. That's more than likely, though, induced by, oh no, because now we have thunderstorm activity firing up alongside of it, too. Is there a way we can zoom in a little bit closer? Let's see, regional sectors. Here we go. This is why I like College of DuPage. Yeah, I mean, there's like a little spin right there. There's a small little thing right there. I don't know if that's it. I don't know if that's it. But there's a small little spin just to the south of Puerto Rico. It's hard to tell if it's induced by our thunderstorm activity. It almost looks like it's not, because now you have some more thunderstorms firing along its eastern side. So, I mean, I don't know. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Is there a way we can get closer? Yes, there is. Let's see. Yeah, there's like a very, I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a very small little bit of a spin right there. It's got some thunderstorms popping off on its right-hand side right there. I'm not sure if you guys can see what I'm seeing. I wish we had visible satellite. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Brooke. You're right. I did get sidetracked. Let's go back to our wide view. All right. Done messing around with satellite. There we go. Okay, so in my opinion, there's one of two possible outcomes here. One is the euro's right. It's right on the money, and it stays very weak, in which case it's going to crash and die. End game. That's it. Very straightforward. There's no thought process that goes into that. If it stays strong, I genuinely, or I shouldn't say if it stays strong. If it gets strong quick, I can definitely see something like this happening. One of these two solutions. Hands down. I don't think it's going to get blocked. And if it's a powerful storm like some of our earlier renditions were calling for, it's not going to get blocked like those like those models are thinking. A weak storm would get sheared apart and blocked out like that, but not a strong one. A strong one's going to want to pummel through and stay the course. And I mean, just for frame of reference, let's go regional again. Let's go right here. Look at our little upper low feature. We'll go to mid-level water vapor so you guys can see it. Look at that. That's essentially right here. That's essentially what would be the track of our system right there. Alex Baller, I see you mentioning that it's on Tropical Tidbits. Oh, wow. Look. Whoa. Okay. Wow. All right, Alex, you know what? I got to give it up. He's right. We have an invest. We got an invest. It's out there. There it is. And we called it too. Look at that, guys. Right where we were seeing that low pressure, we found it. We got it. So that little circle that we're spinning, that little spin we just saw on the satellite imagery, we found it. So there we go. All right. There's our intensity guidance. Going to be a tropical storm in the next couple days. Some already bringing it all the way up to Category 2. Here we go. I guess you could say it's game time. Don't have satellite imagery on it just yet. Wow, very good. Very good, very good. That's good stuff. Definitely want to watch this and want to watch what our ensembles do. And now we can get some hurricane models on it as well and see what's happening. So there we go. Honestly, yeah, we got to go ahead and say apologies to Alex Baller 75. Want to spray cranberry? Doff boy. It's funny you bring that up. Totally lopsided, sidetracked. But the other day, we were messing around with the LeBron James video game. Want to spray cranberry? But there you go. So Invest 97 is a real thing. So what a way to end the stream tonight, guys. Wow. What a way to end the stream. So when is National Hurricane Center going to bump this up? Because National Hurricane Center doesn't have anything on it yet. But dang, all right. So we have Invest 97L. Up and comings. Now at least we have an identifier. Now we got to give it at least 12 to 24 hours for our hurricane models to start coming in. And we'll go from there and we'll see what happens. I want you guys to look at this, though. This I thought was very interesting, and I forget the username, but I was showing someone on Instagram this. I know I showed Jacob as well, if you're still in the chat. There you are. Yeah, Jacob's still there. I know these are the HAFS models for Pilar, but take a look out over here. Watch this. See what the HAFS B does with it? I know, guys, that this is plugged in for our Pilar system out there in the East Pac, but the model's still forecasting, and look at what happens out there in the Caribbean. 948 Cat 4, according to the HAFS B model. I had HAFS A pulled up a second ago. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Yeah, see, HAFS A keeps it fairly weak, has it plowing right into Nicaragua. The HAFS B model, you can kind of see at the last second wants to lift it to the north. Right there. Oh, hey, actually, yeah, look at that. Whoa, wow. Is this a different model run? Did this just update? This definitely just updated. And I'm not liking that track, guys. It's lifting to the north right there. It's lifting to the north. And again, take this with an extreme grain of salt. Take this with an extreme grain of salt. I'm not a big fan of saying that because this is forecast data tailored to Tropical Storm Pilar. But the reason I like looking at these to get an idea of what our models are thinking is because even though they're tailored to the one invest area that it's programmed around, it's still forecasting all the other environmental factors around it. And I'm not liking what the HAFS B is doing right there. Let me go back to the HAFS A now and see if HAFS A updated then. There it is, 18Z. Let's see. Okay, so HAFS A has it strengthening a little bit more and then following a very similar course to the HAFS B. So maybe we will have a landfall down there and it's going to get picked back up and either run across the coastline of the Yucatan and Belize, going across the Cancun area. I know someone asked about Cancun earlier. And then, unless it is going to suddenly ricochet, it only has one other direction to go, and that's up out of the Gulf. So now I'm really curious to get some information over the next 24 hours. We have our invest area. I got to give it up to you again. Hell of a good eye, Alex Baller. Definitely. 97L. Here we go. Now it's game time. We can start really talking about things and narrowing it down. HAFS A and B have it kind of lifting to the north. See what the H-Wharf is. If it's, yeah, there we go. It's loaded. H-Wharf. It's barely off the screen. Barely off the screen, but the H-Wharf looks like it misses Nicaragua, misses Costa Rica, misses Honduras, and stays to the north. So, I mean, once we get the information tailored to 97L, it'll make a little more sense. We can see it clear as opposed to using context clues and playing I Spy with these parent model runs. But at this point, and Jacob, back me up on this one, I'm pretty certain at this point, we can kind of say the Euro might be out to lunch on this one. Just looking at preliminary weird stuff, look at HAFS B parent IR4. Where's that at, Wilhelm? HAFS B IR4. Point me in the direction to that. What is IR4? But anyways, looking at the general trends here, it looks like a lot of our models don't want it crashing in and coming across into the East Pacific. So it might be the European model that's not doing too good in this case. We might see a resurgence in what we were initially anticipating. And a lot of our HAFS models and our H-Wharf there definitely look at a stronger system trying to form up. Upper dynamics, IR4. Okay, there we go. Aha, there we go. Thank you. Oh, what the heck is that? What the? All right, I don't know. I don't know how much I trust that. That clearly misses a landfall. Let's go back to the HAFS A parent. There we go. That looks a little bit more reasonable. Crashing into the shoreline and then getting ready to lift up. And then let's see, HAFS B. Dear God, what in the hell is that? That's terrifying. That better not be what unfolds. That better not be what unfolds. Highly doubt it, at least as of right now. Highly doubt it. Some tracks are in on Tropical Tidbits. Let's see. So there you go. There go our 18Z ensembles. I'm telling you, I mean, and look at that. You know, I really don't, and actually this really lines up really well with Brooke. You'd mentioned I got distracted. Remember I just said if it stays weak, straight west. If it stays strong, it's coming up. That literally, you can't make this up. It's literally what we were just talking about a second ago without even looking at this. So I'm kind of getting goosebumps right now. There you have it. Those were my two preliminary end results. Weak, it's going to die. If it stays strong, it's coming up. It's definitely coming up. So Miss Leah, if you're still in here, that puts it right into your general area. Maybe this will be the season finale. Vince hitting CA in Mexico, West Coast of Florida, 1921. That's what I'm thinking, PM. That's what I'm thinking. I think that once this happens, whatever the heck this is, maybe what's going to happen here is Mother Nature's going to finally get a big storm out there, clear out that ocean heat content, and hopefully help us reset for next hurricane season. That would actually be a good thing, not going to lie. I know that sounds very dumb of me to say, but we could use a storm down there to help eat up what's left of that ocean heat content. Get rid of it. This way, maybe we can get back to business in terms of getting El Nino back on the charts as well. No, Danielle, Pilar is our Eastern Pacific system. The reason I was looking at that, though, is because with our wider views, you can still see kind of what our high-res model data is thinking out there in the Caribbean. I don't know why I had an aneurysm for a second there. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Jacob. I definitely agree. And I mean, obviously our ensembles, our high-res models are on the same track. They're thinking something could definitely come at least as low as a low-end hurricane, a Cat 1. H-Wharf is definitely on board with a Cat 1, it looks like. HAFS B, that's terrifying. I'm not going to buy into the HAFS B just yet, but the HAFS B wants to go full-fledged Cat 5 as it moves into Nicaragua and Honduras. That would be terrible. Absolutely. Now that is life-threatening. That is catastrophic. And you know what's crazy is I showed Jacob early this morning. If you go back to 0Z, look at that. The HAFS B has been on a roll. The HAFS, look at that, 918. This is 0Z this morning, guys. I know, obviously, this is stuff for Pilar, but it still has some forecasting going on in the background. This is 0Z. 918, you go to 6Z. 946, you go to 12Z. 945, you go to 18Z. 935, like, you know, what was the H-Wharf parent doing? The H-Wharf is the one that likes to go gung-ho with this thing. So let's go to 0Z. Can't see it, unfortunately. It has Pilar moving too fast. 6Z. Can't see it. Has Pilar moving too fast. 12Z. Definitely can't see it. All right, so never mind. Let's go to the HAFS A. Take a look at that real quick. Let's go back to 0Z, see what it was thinking. HAFS A has it. You can't really see it, but it looks like HAFS A is a little hesitant to get it really deepening down strong. 6 Zulu. Can't see it. 12Z. Tropical storm headed towards Nicaragua. 18Z is when we're picking up some momentum and getting it a little stronger. And it's 8:58. Let's go ahead and take a look at our GFS ensembles because GFS ensembles should be in, and then we'll wrap up the live stream. Here we go. 18Z is in. There you have it. I see 3 ensembles in there, 3 weak little green lines that have it doing what the GFS deterministic model does. But I mean, you guys, you tell me in the chat right now, what does the trend look like? Honestly. Naz, with this area already dubbed an invest, does this mean a quicker intensification is possible? I mean, you know, I'm not going to say absolutely, but that could be a sign. That could be a sign. And yeah, I see some purple too. Purple for the Cayman Islands, purple for Cuba, purple for the Bahamas. And then we're not out of the woods in South Florida. Cat 2, Cat 3 for South Florida. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, the GFS ensembles are really ebbing and flowing really well with what we saw just now with our HAFS A and B. So we need to watch this. We are definitely far from out of the woods. We are far from out of the woods, and I'm really, really looking at all of this right now. I'm very upset that there's a lot of people out there backpedaling on it because we got Euro completely disappearing on this. I don't know what it's going to take for people to realize we can't put all of our eggs in a basket. We can't put all our eggs in one basket. Because this right here, you look at the trends, and there's a cut and dried trend right there. And I'm really, really not a fan of how we have GFS ensembles calling for a major system down there headed towards Nicaragua and Honduras, and we just saw our HAFS A and B models also doing the same thing. So we have a lot of argument against what the Euro is calling. It's one model versus, at the current time, 3 models, possibly 4 once we get more information in. Amen. I agree with that, PM. That's exactly why I've been watching all the way across out into the Pacific. We have a blocking ridge setting up right now. Let's go out there and then we'll end the stream. I promise, guys. I'm getting chills again. We got a blocking ridge setting up over the west. So I don't understand why our models are suddenly thinking that, our front's going to come through willy-nilly. Like, you don't even have to switch over to water vapor. We'll switch over anyways, but look at this blocking ridge we have coming up. This ridge right here, if I play the loop, is going to slow everything down. In fact, I bet you 10 to 1, that's why our frontal system that's supposed to be coming down right here has slowed down as well. I mean, guys, look, it's like clockwork. You can't... We literally have a preliminary track coming through right now. There's our upper low. Here's our trough. There's the ridge. Look at how that upper low is coming right towards Florida. We literally have an example. Now, granted, guys, that upper low is not going to do anything to us. That's an entire upper level system. We might get some sporadic showers, hopefully, from it. But I'm looking down here, guys. Look right in through here. There's our trough. Here's the ridge. And then look at that big old circulation right there coming up. Moving right along, moving right towards southwestern Florida. I mean, you can't argue with that. And we're not even looking at models right now. We're just looking at another low that popped up out of there, and it's following the same track. I'm not even looking at model data right now. We could literally just extrapolate this thing through. We have this front right there. Obviously, that upper level low ain't bouncing off of it. It's coming right towards Florida. We'll zoom in a little bit more on it. Let's go down here we go. We'll go right here. Take a look at that. Obviously, this ain't a tropical system, guys, but I'm just using this as continuity. Here's our front. Here's our ridge. And then take a look. There's our low. And look at where it's tracking. Very eerily tracking up towards Florida. And I believe that. If we go back in time, check this out. As a matter of fact, that's one thing I love about this website. Let's go way back in time and follow that. See it? Look, you can't argue with that. It's doing exactly the same thing. It's looking very Ian, Wilma, Charlie. There's our system coming up out of the Gulf. Or coming up out of the Caribbean. And again, guys, this is not the storm. This is not the storm. What I'm saying is, look at how this low feature came up and out of this general area, and watch how it interacts with our steering pattern, and look at where it's going. That's why I don't understand why our models are thinking it's going to bounce off of things. It's tracking right up towards Florida. In fact, I bet you 10 to 1 if we look out, well, we can't look outside right now, but if we were to go outside tomorrow morning, we're probably going to see some cloud cover from it as well. Yeah, very little, very little. It's a upper level system, so we're not going to get a whole lot of it, but you can see it. Very crazy. Before we get out of here, let's go ahead and take one last look at what we have on our invest area. See if we have anything else populating just yet. No, not yet. Do I have our satellite loading in now? Our Canadian ensembles. Even the Canadian ensembles, I could kind of get behind a little bit more so doing this. I know some of them want to track it off to the east, but I mean, even that makes a little more sense. Even if it comes up like this and moves very sharp off to the east-northeast like that, I can believe that. I can definitely believe that as opposed to this. That I don't see that happening. I really don't. Unless this thing just doesn't organize and stay really dorked up the entire way through, which it really is unlikely to do that. We're probably going to have a tropical storm by the time it gets out in over here to the south of Jamaica. I'm willing to bet we're going to have a tropical storm by then. With as favorable of a setup and as hot as the waters are, there's nothing. And I think that may be what's going on with our Euro right now. The Euro is taking in climatological norms, and it's kind of thinking that it's going to be weak. Might have El Nino shear, so maybe that's what the Euro's doing. The Euro's taking into account way too much of the norm right now. It might be factoring in we should be in a very strong El Nino. We should have very cold waters. Well, not cold waters. We should have lukewarm waters out there because of the El Nino. That's probably why it's also bringing our subtropical jet where it is. So maybe that's why the Euro is dorking this up right now and making it look a lot less concerning than what it is. Because I'm concerned still. I'm definitely concerned still. We've seen too much in just tonight. That's Invest 96. We don't care about you. Sorry. We've seen too much tonight to suggest that we got to take our eyes off of this. That is massive, though. The HAFS B, that's scary, guys. We really got to watch this. That's the HAFS B calling for another explosive cyclogenesis right there, because there's our invest area, very disorganized. And then watch how fast. This is 18Z on Wednesday. 24 hours after that, 18Z on Thursday, we already have what looks to be a hurricane out there. So the HAFS B model is calling for rapid intensification, that trademark phrase. Rapid intensification. The HAFS A model doesn't go as freakishly intense with it, but it does look like it tries to get it into a tropical storm, if not a Category 1 hurricane as it makes landfall. Yeah, look at that. The HAFS models do not see any wind shear down there. The HAFS models have no wind shear on this thing. There's no reason this thing won't blow up. And I'm not saying that to try to hype it. I'm just saying, we've seen things happen in the Atlantic already with Lee, with Nigel, with with Idalia in the Gulf when things were correct. In the East Pac, wonderful examples. I mean, not literally wonderful, but I'm just saying, for the sake of continuity, Otis blew up in 12 hours. Lydia blew up in the span of a few hours. Hillary blew up. Hova did. We've had so many instances where we have perfect conditions, and all it takes is perfect conditions for 12 to 15 hours, and these storms will get going. And at that point, they become self-sustaining. So if this thing can get its act together quick, it's not going to have to worry about the wind shear that's to the north of it. It's going to create its own outflow. It's going to influence the subtropical jet, and then we have a problem. Then, just like in Spider-Man 2, it's self-sustaining now. You can't kill it. Obviously, I know that's outlandish, but still, you guys know what I'm putting down. Phase Jarvis, I'm going to put it out there right now. We can. We definitely can. It's going to depend on how strong and how far to the north it decides to lift. I agree with you again, PM. 100% on board. 100% on board. Central America, Cayman Islands, Cuba, big time. Jamaica, looking at the trends, I don't think you guys are going to have to worry too much. Looking at the trends and how much consistency we have between our HAFS models, the GFS ensembles. I mean, all of our ensembles pretty much. I'd say Jamaica is kind of in the clear. It's going to be the Cayman Islands and further to the west, especially Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Yucatan, Cancun. We definitely got to pay attention. Too early to discuss impacts, guys. Not even depression yet. More so focused on strengthening and track. Hello from Belize. Question, do you think Belize will be... I'm glad that you just brought that up, Melvin, because... I definitely think we have to watch very closely, extremely closely, all of our areas here, from Nicaragua up to Belize, Cancun, Yucatan Peninsula. You guys really, honestly, I will go as far as to elevate this a little bit internally for the Weather Center here and say Central America should be on alert. We have an invest area now. We have an invest, which means we do have a closed circulation. So now it's anybody's best guess when this thing's going to blow up. So Central America, you guys are on alert. Cancun, Jamaica, Cuba, us here in Florida, we're still on watch. We're still just watching. But no matter what happens at this point, we have a closed center now, and National Hurricane Center has eyes on it. So Central America, you guys need to be watching. We definitely need to be watching. So I'm going to say it again. Cancun, Belize, Yucatan, Honduras, even El Salvador, if this thing does decide to track west, and Honduras, you guys are on alert right now. You guys need to be on alert and watch this thing. Central America, for Cancun, I'll even throw Jamaica in there because it's going to make a close pass. I'll even throw Jamaica in there, Cuba, Bahamas, and Florida. We need to just watch. So that's the big thing. For us, to the north of it, we're in watch mode. Central America, you guys are in alert mode now. Because, I mean, you look right over here at the initial preliminary tracks, and, I mean, it's coming right for you. It's coming right for you. You look at the GFS, it's coming right for you. Look at the HAFS models, it's coming right for you. So Central America needs to be on alert with this thing. We just need to be on watch. And I think that's going to be the telltale big disclaimer for my videos tomorrow. Chad, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm going to throw Jamaica in there just in case. Right now, it looks okay, but definitely still worth watching. Definitely still worth watching. I'm going to say it one last time. Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas, and Florida. We need to be watching. That's it, guys. Signing out, Dark Earth. We'll see you. We'll talk to you very soon, hun. Thank you for joining in. I'm going to go ahead and highlight in red. It goes without saying, you guys all through here are on alert mode. You guys should definitely now start doing your preps. Start watching this closely. Make sure you have a plan in place if things do hit the fan. Because the GFS ensembles here do have a very potent storm moving towards Nicaragua and Honduras. And when I say potent, we're down in this neck of the woods. I see some purple, I see some dark red, I see some regular red. So we're looking at a Cat 2, if not stronger, down in that general area. So Central America, alert mode. Definitely alert. And I don't care if that sounds hype. It's right there. It's written on the page. It's sharing on my screen right there. So that's the big thing. That's the takeaway. Wow, this live stream definitely took a turn, guys. I'm not going to lie. This live stream definitely took a turn. I thought this was going to be a little more low-key and more of like we'll just continue to monitor as we go over the next couple days. I didn't think we were going to be this uppity with all this new information. I didn't think we were going to get an invest area. Shout out to Alex Baller once again. Pointing this out, because I definitely would not have thought to come and look at an invest this early in the game. That's the thing. This is early. I almost, at that point, we might see this blow up. Not blow up literally, guys, but we might see this really amp up overnight tonight. I would not be surprised now if at 2 o'clock in the morning when we get another update on this, we might see a much higher chance in the next 2 days. We might see somewhere in the realm of between 40-60% in the next 48 hours, and we might start seeing that 80-90% go up for the next 7 days. So this is getting serious. This is getting real now. I mean, there's nothing certain still. We got to get some high-res data down there, but this is definitely getting real. My antenna are way up. Earlier today, they kind of were drooping because, I was a little confused as to why all our models are up in arms about this, but right now, we're starting to get more into serious mode. Not sure who's asking about Alaska, but you never know. Let's say it's a Cat 2 south of Jamaica. Is it possible we can feel tropical storm strength in Jamaica? I don't think so. If it takes a very, very northward track, then maybe, but you got to remember, these storms are going to be very compact, so we would need it to go back to the tracks, and we'll show you. Like, even, you see these ensembles here, you guys are going to get some elevated winds, you guys are definitely going to get some waves, but you're not going to get any impacts, if that makes sense. If it suddenly trends to the north like this, which it doesn't look like it's going to do right now, then you guys can definitely start thinking impacts. But right now, I would definitely say Jamaica, we just got to watch. We just got to see exactly how much this thing expands. We got to see if it does get its act together, because I know we do still have some models that are riding against us right now, especially the Euro. The Euro is not in our corner right now. The Euro thinks this thing is going to be just nothing. So not only are we going to have to really dig in and start researching this incredibly and watching live data, but we also got to make sure we stand our ground, because there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to buy into it because the euro. If the euro doesn't show it, no one cares. And that's the scary part about this, because you have literally everything else painting that this could be bad for somebody, but the euro doesn't think so, and that's going to turn a lot of people off. Models may tell a totally different story tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, you know what, Jacob? They just might, because we have a low now. The hardest part with a lot of models is the initial formation. Once we have something to track, it becomes a lot more crystal clear what the road ahead looks like. So tomorrow, and then especially into Wednesday and Thursday, we definitely might have a more cut and dried analysis to get our hands on, which is good news. Bad news, because now the clock is ticking. This is what I was afraid of. This is why we started talking about this This is why we started talking about this early last week. The clock is ticking. When we don't have anything out there, that's when you definitely want to start kind of playing with the idea of preparing. Now that we have an invest, I know it's just an invest area, guys, but that the clock is ticking. And I'm not trying to, take away or cause panic or anything like that, but we're continuing to see the progression. Can you see if Euro has changed the low-level jet placement from what it said yesterday? I don't think it has. Let's go over to the ECMWMF. Damn, I'm definitely going to lose sleep tonight. Because I really want to see when our HAFS models and our HWRF start populating for this system. Let's see. This is 18Z, my bad. Let me go forward. Yeah, see, so the Euro has no faith in it whatsoever. The Euro does not think it's going to form up. The Euro has lifted the subtropical jet, though. This doesn't even make sense. This Euro doesn't even make sense at all. It does not make sense. Look at this. Look at this massive anticyclone you have over top of it, Euro. What are you doing? That's all divergent flow in the upper levels. Why would you not strengthen it? What are you not seeing? What's the moisture look like? Plenty of moisture. We have upper level influence. Upper level influence is good. Plenty of moisture down there, plenty of hot water. I don't know what the Euro is doing, guys. I think it's very safe to say the Euro can be discarded right now, because this does not make any dang sense whatsoever. Look at all that. Look at all that moisture and all that very, very low-level wind shear. And when I say low level, I mean there's no wind. Look at that. There's no wind shear. No wind shear. Look at that. All the way through, no wind shear. I don't understand what the Euro is thinking right now. The Euro just doesn't make any sense. The Euro does not make sense. Robert, I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves, but this is getting very eerie. Very eerie. Because Wilma definitely exploded. Wilma was a bomb of a hurricane. And it was in late October that happened, too. Same general area as well. Look at how fast that she blew up. Look at how fast. We had a tropical depression, and the next thing you know, major hurricane. It did not take long. Look at the track. Tropical depression, tropical storm, major hurricane. That's all it took down there. All right, guys. I saw your. Can you stay up, please, on till then? Till 11 o'clock, weather trackers? I wish I could. I'm sorry, I can't stay on that late. I got things to do in the house, and I have to be up early again for the gym tomorrow to do it all over again. But Nazario, check Discord for the 0Z tracks. Are they in there, Alex? Are you messaging them to me right now? Let's see. I really got to start checking this more. Here we go. All right, I'm looking at what you're talking about. I don't see... How do you turn on the tracks, though? Okay, I'm looking at them now. I apologize, guys. I'm looking at the tracks that were just sent to me on another website. So I'm looking at these tracks, and the general consensus, there's a lot of lopsided stuff going on here, but I'm seeing a general trend that by the time this thing gets close to Central America, they're all expecting a northward turn. Let me go ahead and look at the best tracks, the best guidance. This is a good website, though, dude. I'm glad you sent this to me. I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm definitely going to keep this saved. But all right, folks, we're going to go ahead and start calling the stream. I would not be surprised if we start seeing these formation chances really go through the roof now. I almost wish that National Hurricane Center would do like a prelim advisory just real briefly to update that we have an Invest area out there, because Invest is going to change the name of the game. Invest is definitely going to change the name of the game. Does Russia have a hurricane model? I'm not sure about that. Since November 2020, Florida has had a storm every year. Don't know why. This is why storm season ends after November. Yep, definitely. If Florida gets hit, what day will it be? That's going to be tough. That's definitely going to be tough. I think my early forecast was sometime between the 9th and the 11th. What days are those? The 9th to the 11th. So either the following... No, I'm looking at the wrong date. Looking at the wrong calendar. So the following weekend, not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend, Friday through to Sunday is like when I'm kind of anticipating we might have something to worry about. Because you do the math, this is 240 hours here. This is 192 hours there. About 200 hours out. You take that into consideration. I'm going to do some very quick math. Math is not my strong suit, guys. 200 divided by 24. That's 8 days from now. So let's count on the calendar now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So by Wednesday forward, we have to watch. In the next 5 days. That's why I'm saying that you guys are on alert mode down there in Central America now. Belize, Cancun, Nicaragua, Honduras. You all got to be getting started right now. You got to, if I have anyone viewing from that general area, I'm not joking. If you are watching this stream right now, you need to get off the stream and start preparing. Make sure you dust off those preparation plans. Make sure you dust off anything that may be in terms of evacuation. Get in touch with your loved ones. Get in touch with folks down there. Start making arrangements just in case, because it's going to hit you guys first. It's definitely going to hit you guys first, and right now it could either be a tropical storm all the way up to a Category 2, Category 3. Dear God, I hope it's not a HAFS B Cat 5, because if that's the case, we're not even going to go there right now. Georgia, and it's not looking like it. Not looking like it. We're going to have too strong of a trough coming down. It's going to be more of a south central, if not a very southern Florida event. I'm honestly thinking that Tampa really doesn't have to watch a whole lot. And further to the north, closer to the greater Orlando, even my area down in Polk County, we don't really have to watch too closely. I'm thinking this is, unfortunately, dare I say it, it's going to be another Fort Myers and further to the south, Florida Keys, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, Homestead area. That's where we have to watch. This general area, if you kind of look at where Lake Okeechobee is and further to the south, that's where I feel we could see a greatest potential landfall based on what we're seeing right now, and maybe even further to the south than that. So it's game time, guys. It's definitely game time. This would Vince, Alex signing. Have a great night, Nazario. See you on your vid tomorrow. And Tropics Talk on Wednesday. We might have a Tropics Talk tomorrow. We might. If these things evolve quick, I'm going to be in here blasting out content left and right. You can guarantee that. If this thing evolves quick and we start seeing some very rapid changes in our trends and we get the high-res data, I'm popping in on a regular basis all week and gearing up for whatever the heck is going to happen, whether it be a Central America impact, whether it be a Cayman Islands, Cuba, Jamaica impact, or God forbid it comes towards Florida. We're going to watch. Yep, I agree. Central Florida to South Florida definitely needs to watch. I'm leaning towards where Lake Okeechobee, Fort Myers, Charlotte Harbor area, and further to the south. You really need to pay attention to this. Ethan Darcy, good night. Have a great evening. Best of luck to you as well. I'm near Orlando. I'm praying we don't have any effects from this. We're going to have to watch. Cape Coral, we definitely want to keep an eye out there too. Definitely. Will be a sharp hook if you are in the Keys. Yes. I would honestly argue, guys, that we have a very, very similar situation to this. Very similar situation. It might ride a little bit further to the south, but there's going to be a hook in there if this thing gets strong. If this thing does amp up and get strong, like some of our preliminary models are already calling for, there's going to be a really intense shift, and you got to watch it down there in South Florida. All's there. Hopefully Key West is safe. I visit there. Trends are your friends. I agree. Whitney is next and done with the season. Jamaica and Cuba should watch or stay on alert. Watch. Jamaica and Cuba, I'll tell you right now, anybody to the north of where these tracks are moving, anybody up in here like Jamaica, Cayman Islands, come on, Inc., Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and Cuba, if you're north of where our ensembles and most of our deterministic models are thinking, we got to watch. Anybody straight out in front of this system immediately is on alert mode right now. That's the thing. So anybody straight out in front, which is, I'm looking at you guys down there in Nicaragua and Honduras, and then potentially Belize and the coastline of the Yucatan Peninsula. I'm looking right at you guys. When I say alert mode, I'm talking about your area specifically, because we have a storm forming and it's headed your way. So now the clock is officially ticking. The people out there, or not the people, but excuse me, Mother Nature has turned the hourglass upside down and the clock is ticking. I'm telling you right now, Euro is on complete drugs. I'm not looking at the runs until it approves its GFS fantasy bias. I agree. Track shifted more toward Florida in the models today. Which ones? I wonder if we're going to start getting any preliminary data streaming in just yet. I kind of want to see if... No, nothing there. HAFS, nothing there. H-Wharf, nothing there. Nothing there. Nah, we're probably not going to get anything until 0Z. We'll probably get 0Z runs of our high-res data down there. I was looking at this earlier before we wrap up the stream. I was looking at this, and I'm trying to find where the Euro thinks this thing is not going to develop. It just doesn't make any dang sense. Just look at how much moisture we have down there. Look at how much moisture we have down there, and look at how little dry air we have. Like, look, that's an amazing setup for this thing. It's an amazing setup. No dry air. None whatsoever. And what's scary, too, is it looks like all of our dry air that was once down across here is starting to move up to the north as well. It's starting to vacate out. So we really got to see what happens with this front. We got to watch this front. We got to watch the high pressure back behind it. We got to watch this. Lots to talk about. Good night, Nazara. Have a great Halloween. Look forward to your next live. Thomas, thank you very much for that, sir. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate your questions, and I do appreciate you tuning in, as always. Yes, Jacob, exactly. If it does form up, it's on you within 24, 48 hours. Our best case scenario, we really need to see some modeling start to make sense with systems where we are flying blind in a perfect setup until they can catch up. Exactly. And that's the thing, like, even the models that don't show it developing still have perfect ingredients. You can't find one piece of evidence to say, oh, now that's why it's not forming. Look at all the shear. Look at all the dry air. Look at all the whatever. No, even the Euro, keeping it weak, has a perfect anticyclone planted over it with no shear right over top that ocean heat constant and the sea surface temps. So this is why I still put in my video today, will this be a hurricane? Will it be a hurricane? And I know others are on board with that too, and I really don't want them to back down. I do not want them to back down until we suddenly see, if we wake up tomorrow and all the HAFS models are saying this thing ain't going to be diddly squat, then I'll start to take my foot off the accelerator. But right now, especially for our folks out there in Central America, you need to start gearing up. And I mean that wholeheartedly, not hyping, just genuinely. We have a low out there forming, and it's coming straight towards you, and you have about 3 to 5 days before it's right on top of you knocking on your door. So And then from there, it's anybody's best guess. From there, we have to really pay attention. It could either blast through you guys and keep going. And that's the thing, too. Like, for my folks out there in Central America, I promise I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm really not. I'm just trying to be realistic and honest with you. The end result is you guys first. If it keeps going to the west and it stays away from Florida and everybody else, you guys are still getting hit. If it strengthens and eventually becomes a problem for Cuba, the Cayman Islands, for Florida, you're still getting hit. There is no end result here where you don't get hit by something. That's the problem. Jamie Underwood from Belize, I'm glad you're watching. Should people in the greater Tampa area prepare? Not right now, no. In Florida, we're just watching. We still have plenty of time. We got about 5 to maybe 7, if not even 10 days to get ahead of this thing. Our folks down there in Central America where my marker is drawn, they're the ones who really need to start preparing. That's what I'm afraid of, Travis. We have good hot water at the top, and then we have a lot of hot water right below that. MJO enhanced here. Also, SOI is negative 7.8. It's decreasing. El Nino is somewhat on hold. Yeah, that's the other reason why CPC has us highlighted for an above 40% chance, because that MJO is right overhead. It's right overhead. That's why we haven't seen the flood risk and all the thunderstorm activity over Central America. You can even see it on this static image. That's why none of that has stopped, because we have really good upper-level influence right over top of that area. In fact, fine. We're going to look at it. We're going to do it. I know we're pushing overtime now, and I got to get off here. We're already an hour and a half deep. This is going to be the last little bit of the stream. I apologize, guys, but I just want to see what our vorticity looks like right now. Here's our control. Okay, so yeah, the European model doesn't think we have a favorable setup out there right now. And that's very weird. Yeah, according to the Euro, we don't have a favorable environment, which is very weird. Not too sure what it's thinking right there. There's our global tropics hazards. You can see very good conditions and setup for development out there. According to CPC, we have a decent shot at seeing some very good upper-level influence brought on by the MJO. So, loop eddies are going crazy in the Gulf. Yeah, they are. I think this is probably your best stream. I'm really glad to hear that, honestly. And I'm glad we have a few people watching tonight. We appreciate the extended stream greatly. CPC insists Florida will get rain next week. I know. We'll have to watch, man. You don't have to apologize. We're all still here. We want more. Trust me, I want to give you more. I really do. But being realistic right now, we gotta pump the brakes a little bit, rip the e-brake, and kind of glide into our parking spot, because we still have a lot of time to digest what's going to happen. We got to take it a step at a time. We have our invest, so we can check that box, and I'd be willing to bet that tonight, hopefully, as early as 0Z at 11 o'clock, we're going to start seeing these models start to populate, and then we can get a really good up-close look at what our higher res models are thinking. And that'll be when the good stuff can start coming out. We'll get an even better idea of what's going to happen, at least in the short term. Because I know sometimes our models down there tend to get a little wonky as well. This is our 0Z intensity guidance. All of them are pointing towards strengthening, at least to a tropical storm. General trend is by the time we get to day 3, we're already approaching hurricane strength. That's 3 days from now. There she is. Yeah. He or she's getting going. You can see it on this radar right there, or this satellite. It's right there. It's headed west-southwest right now. Which does concern me, because you know what? If we go back to our model data, we go back to the GFS has actually been verifying really well when you think about it. Let's go back to the 12Z GFS from today. 12Z GFS thinks it's going to wander west-southwest for quite some time, scrape the upper periphery of what looks like Venezuela, Colombia, then shoot due west and come up. And then that's where it goes all dipsy-doo-dah. But if you know what, if you go back to 12Z on Sunday, 12Z on Sunday had a really good representation of what we're seeing. And this is the one that tracks it to the north. So if you look, what time is it right now? It's 9:35, so it's 01Z on the 31st. The GFS right here is initializing really well with where we see our system right now. You go back over to the satellite image, and I know it's moving off to the west-southwest according to the satellite, but the low center, albeit very small, is right in through here. Right there, you can see it. It's right there, already deepening down. We have a closed but very small, compact, low center. We got some convection firing along the eastern side of it. It's right there, plain as day. We'll probably see it better on invisible. We'll probably see it better on visible satellite. If you go back in time to the earlier runs of the GFS, yesterday, it's right on track with where that thing is forming up just to the south of Puerto Rico. Has it kind of wandering around a little bit, not as fast of a southwestward plunge, and this is the iteration that takes it up and through and scrapes across the south portion of Florida, through Cuba. So I don't know. We might see a return of this model run. Earlier model runs of the GFS actually had it bullseyed really well. It's right there once again. And look at the time. We look back in time at the GFS, and it's doing very good. There's our system. I know this is 12Z today. 12Z today would be 8 a.m., but I mean, it's doing really well. And this is one of the worst case scenario models right here, with a major Cat 5 hitting the Cayman Islands and Cuba. So I'd say as of right now, in comparison to what the Euro is calling for, 12Z, Euro doesn't have a low on it. So there we go. There we go right there, guys. If you want my best guess in terms of initialization and verification of our models, the Euro is done. Euro is not doing good at all. Euro doesn't have a low forming up until Friday, November 3rd, out in the southern Caribbean. The GFS is the one that's on the ball right now. GFS is verifying really well. Euro is definitely the one that's out to lunch on this one. Euro doesn't have anything forming up. Let me go to the winds just to see. Whoops, not that one. Let's go to the low-level winds just to see. Yeah, Euro doesn't have a low forming up until we're down into Thursday, Friday. So Euro, right then and there, anybody out there who's watching who wants to argue with you and mention that the GFS is, terrible, the Euro is where it's at, the Euro's already failing us. And you can't argue with that. You go to right now, 0Z. Here's October 31st, 0Z. This is an hour ago. And there's nothing out there. You switch over to the GFS for this time, and you're already starting to see a little bit of a low circulation spin up, especially in earlier model runs. You go to 12Z yesterday and look at that. It's almost like the GFS had a better handle on it the day before than it does now. But there you go, right here. There's 0Z, October 31st. That's right now. And there's our little low, spinning up down there. So GFS is the one handling it decently right now, not necessarily the Euro. And we're going to call it a night on that note. We did a little initialization and verification. We found out the GFS is doing a little bit better, and we're going to end it on that note. It seems the trend for weather people is to not call for a hurricane because then everyone bashes you saying it just for clicks. Yeah, I agree with you, Gregory. But all right, folks, extended live stream yet again. We'll see what tomorrow has in store for us. And going forward, we'll see exactly how we want to report on this. I'm saying it one last time, reinforcing it. You guys out there in Central America, particularly Nicaragua and Honduras, and Belize as well, I would definitely say you are in alert mode right now because as it stands, there is no end result where this thing does not hit you. For us here in Florida, for Cuba, the Cayman Islands, we have some end results that mention it missing us. For you guys down there in Central America, there is no end game where this doesn't impact you in one way, shape, or form. So you guys down there need to start dusting off the preparation plans, taking a look at what you have in place. Don't panic, but at least, start getting things in order, start organizing your stuff, and making sure you have something to fall back on if this does get going fast. I'm hoping, Doff Boy, that by Wednesday we'll have something more concrete, because by Friday, whatever's happening out there is going to be bearing down on Central America. So hopefully tomorrow and into Wednesday we'll have a better idea. But thank you all so much for watching. I was waiting for that to happen. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to cut the stream now. Very amped up stream at that. Didn't think we were going to get an invest out of this on the stream. I thought maybe we'd have another couple days before we had invest something out there. But here we go. Live updates on the live stream. Big news. So that right there is already enough to have me watching much closer. And you look at our ensembles, and the ensembles still have a lot of areas under the gun for possible impacts. So we definitely got to start talking about it a lot more. Melita, good night. Thank you for joining in. If you have any additional questions, please leave me a comment, drop me a line on my Instagram. It goes without saying, I will definitely get back to you guys. It's 9:41 right now. I have to be up in approximately 6 hours, give or take. So I might not get back to you immediately tonight, but first thing tomorrow morning before I gear up and head out for the gym, we're talking. I'm definitely going to talk. I'll definitely keep everybody updated, because there's a lot of work we got to do. With the Euro out to lunch, as bad as it is, just doing that little initialization I just did, we could almost take the ensembles, we could almost take the Euro model and just kind of throw it away for now. For the first time, almost all hurricane season, I'm thinking that we want to look at the GFS a little bit closer, at least during the first 3 to 5 days. So, dressing up as Halo tomorrow. Do you mean Master Chief Phase Jarvie? That's pretty good. Thank you, man, for everything. Rest up, everyone. We got a wild week of Tropics ahead. Yep. And Lord willing, like PM was saying, and I agree with him, hopefully this is our final hoorah. This could be a big one, but hopefully this is it. Hopefully after this, we can finally close the book of hurricane season 2023. Born and raised in Polk County here. Hey, look at that. There we go. Mike Bauer. Got a neighbor right there. And it looks like you have a car for your profile picture, too, so we'll get along just fine. I love cars. I need an excuse to start driving mine a little bit more, getting out to some shows around here. Awesome live stream again. Nazari, have a wonderful Halloween. Thank you for all you do. Maybe we'll come on to a live stream tomorrow night just for the heck of, Halloween, even if it's a short one. I mean, obviously, if we have some stuff popping off, we're definitely coming in for a full-on Tropics talk, but we'll see. To be determined. Either way, though, I'm going to definitely have something special for you guys for the Halloween holiday, and then it goes without saying, as we go through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, you best believe we're going to have some community shenanigans here on the channel for not only for our chats, but also for just, little YouTube shorts celebrating everybody. Not only just the channel itself, but all you wonderful viewers. So definitely keep posted or keep your eyes out for that. We have some more holiday stuff coming at you, and a lot more Tropics to talk about, because this is escalating quickly. For all of my, what's his name? The Anchorman, Ron Burgundy. That escalated quickly. Have a whole invest area out there. All right, guys. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I hope that you wake up tomorrow morning fresh, vibrant, and excited, because it is Halloween. I know a certain somebody out there wearing a William Shatner mask is going to be alive and well for October 31st, and I look forward to meeting him. And yes, I'm just joking, guys. Or am I? Ha-ha! All right, anyways, folks, we'll see you tomorrow for our next full-fledged segment of Weather Center Nazario. And until next time, guys, this is Weather Center Nazario signing out. Janice, hello. I see you popping in there. You're waving. I don't know if you're saying good night or hello, but either way, I see you. All right, we're going to go ahead and do it again. This is Weather Center Nazario signing out.